All right, so here is part 2 of the Popeye build. We first started with the photo in the upper right where I built the floor. Now we're working on the bottom 2 photos where I build the back wall. Here what I'm doing is I'm just taking a piece of cardboard that I've split in 2 and cleaned it up to make it look like a piece of corrugated metal. Those tin roofs that you see. And I just make a rough line across the bottom to give me an idea of the width that I need for, how high it's going to be. I take a little piece of tin foil and I roll it across the entire wall that's going to be visible to texture it. And because what we're going for is kind of a stone warehouse wall with peeling paint. And, so that's what I'm after. These stick pins always come in handy. I will link them in the description below of the video. They always come in handy. And this is what I always do. I always kind of just recap and I put everything back together and pose it and play with it for a minute. And it just keeps my mind kind of fresh. I don't know. You can see I'm really being precise here as I put the screen in the middle of the foam and draw around it. We're not building a house. We don't need a building permit. We're just eyeballing this. It's right in the middle. Then I, trace the line to just the inside of the screen, and then I go ahead and cut it. Now, cutting it, there's a couple different ways you can do this, and I haven't found the perfect way yet. But what I do, you'll see here, is I'll trace the line, and I'll go over each line 3 or 4 passes with the, razor here. And then I'll get an X-Acto knife, and I will poke through to the other side till I feel the point. See, I'll flip it and I'll feel the point and I'll draw a circle around it with the pin. Same thing here. Once the tip breaks through the other side, I'll draw a circle around it with the pin. Where's that? There it is. Okay. And what this does is it helps me line up the lines in the back, and then I can, theoretically, it works most of the time, draw lines on the back and kind of be able to cut through both sides, and they be somewhat lined up and easy to push the block of styrofoam through that we don't want, leaving the window hole open. It takes a minute though. I'm not going to lie. I mean, and I was lazy. I didn't change the razor. That thing goes dull pretty quick. But it takes a few times. You just got to be patient, cut it, try to press it, cut it, keep going back through, it takes a minute. We got a pretty decent line, out of this, and it's going to be hidden anyway. If it wasn't going to be hidden, I would put window trim in there. I would create boards that, went into the window frame there, so you wouldn't see that anyway. Just like in a real house, there'd be a windowsill there. So now I just put the screen up on here and kind of just, make sure that we've got enough overlap onto the foam that when I go to glue it down, it's not going to fall through. So the trick here is we're going to do a peeled paint wall because it's faster than cutting bricks, and I've already got brick walls and I've already got, textured walls and things like that. But I haven't done a paint peeling wall yet. And I saw this technique. I didn't make this up. I saw this technique on a channel. I think it was called Abandoned Miniatures or something. Oh my God, if you want to talk about dioramas, this guy is sick with it. But anyway, I want to try this technique out, and I think it fit in perfect with this Popeye. So we're going to try it. It requires first a base coat, and then a coat of latex, and then another coat of paint on top of that, and then you peel the latex away to reveal the base coat. I will link the items in the description below. We're going to be using Monster Liquid Latex for monsters. U.S. Art Supply, non-sponsored any of this. I just buy this stuff. Airbrush colors. This is acrylic, opaque airbrush paints, reducers and paints and waters. I don't get paid by these people for any of this stuff. I just shared with you what I buy and what I'm using. So my airbrush, or one of the airbrushes that I have, is an Iwata HPC S. HPCS. And I also have the Badger Sotar Badger Sotar airbrush, but I really think I like this Iwata more cup, and I think I should wear some gloves. I always forget the gloves, but oh well, we're already going, so let's get it going. So here's my airbrush booth, and I built it, and we're just going to lay down some black as a base coat of this effect. What it is like I said a minute ago, it's an effect that I saw on another channel, Abandoned Miniatures. And we're just laying down the base coat because we're going to give it 3 coats. We're going to give it the base coat. Then I'm going to give it the next coat, which is going to be what the paint peels down to. So at any rate, you can see the monster latex there in the back. After I'm done putting this black base coat down, and then I put the gray over the top of that, because we ultimately want to peel down from blue to the gray and have the gray be the next visible layer. The black just adds depth to the holes and the pocking and the marking that I did with the aluminum foil ball rolling around the foam. So here, you know, we added some white into the cup of the airbrush, and we're going back over this to gray. This is going to be the visible layer that we peel down to once we paint the latex on with a paintbrush. And I don't know why I didn't capture that part of it, dang GoPro. But you can see the latex there. I just paint it on with a brush. And then I immediately paint the blue over the top. And then once it dries, I just go through with my hand and I rub off the parts that I want exposed back down to the base layer. So it's a pretty cool effect. And for the first time doing it, I think it came out really well. You know, Abandoned Miniatures is where I learned that technique from. And I think it's a great technique. I know a few ways I can improve on how I did it. But man, for the first time, it came out really great. And I think you folks might find it useful also when you're trying to create some age and distress in the walls of your dioramas. I know I'm going to be using it a whole lot more. You know, it's a great other tool to have in your bag. I mean, look at that. You know, you don't always want to build a brick wall. You don't always want to build, you know, some super detailed, intricate wall. You just want to put something up pretty quick, and that really does it. Here I'm just digging through my scrap box. I'm trying to find some pieces so I don't have to cut some. These are going to end up being the wood rafters over the windowsill there, the window screen. So what I do is I turn on the Proxxon. The Proxxon is just like a table saw for foam, except it cuts it with a hot wire. Excellent tool. It was overkill here. I didn't need to use the Proxxon, but I thought I was going to be cutting some more stuff, which is why I put it on the table, and I was going to use it for some other stuff. I got a bit ahead of myself, but you know, that wire heats up, you set your fence to the desired length, and bam, I got 2 5-inch pieces of foam, just like cutting a piece of wood, except with a hot wire. And it's not wood, it's foam. Anyway, so I loosely, you know, I eyeball these on here, and I make sure they both got about an equal amount of overhang on each side. Now we're going to go through and texture them the same way I did the wall in video 1. Just run a stick through them, get some good, heavy, deep, detailed marking down in there. Careful to get the ends also. You know, I really bring a lot of texture into these. You can see I spend some time really just kind of hammering it in there. Not to the point where it destroys it, but where it creates some really deep, you know, areas that have damage to the wood. And you'll see it in the pictures later here that I show toward the end of this video. It really helps create the idea that, you know, there's a lot of damage to these from time. And here we're just going to do the lazy way and black wash these. I put a pin through there so I don't have to get my hands dirty because I didn't wear gloves. I always forget something. We're going to let those dry. Never mind. I'm impatient. Let's get the heat gun out. We're going to blow them off with the heat gun. I ain't got time to wait, man. That's, you know, I work on these dioramas, you know, when I get off of work at night. I get up at 2:30 in the morning. I go to work at 3:30. You know, I do a 10 or 12-hour day. I get home. I work on the diorama for a little bit. I mean, I've got a full day. And so who needs time passing when I've got a heat gun? Just blow dry those babies. Clean up my mess. And we're going to paint them brown now with a thick stiff brush here, actually, because I don't want to fill all the grooves with brown. Otherwise, it's going to cover up the black that's in the grooves, and that's defeats the purpose of the black wash. So we just go over these, lightly. I dip my brush in the brown and then I swirl it on the plate for a minute to get some of the excess paint off. And then I go over the piece of foam with it and making sure not to be too heavy with it so that the black does show through in the grooves of the wood that I created. And, this is fun stuff. It's a lot of little pieces, man. And I'm ambivalent about this hot glue gun. I got a smaller one. I should have used it, but this one heats up fast, but it leaves strings everywhere, spider webs of glue all over, and I can't stand that. But I didn't want to use the tacky glue because it would take too long. So here I'm cleaning little spider webs of glue off you could just see the little angel hairs of glue stick as they fly through the air. But look at this, man. I got a cool sign on there. Really nice, man. That piece of metal, that cardboard along the base of the wall there, I just did a rattle can. I just sprayed that with rattle can and then put a little wash on there. But look at the great texture in this. Got some 1929 vintage sign. Popeye came out in 1929. Look at that wood, man. That looks like wood, doesn't it? And it's just styrofoam. It's incredible. I really think that wall came out great. I'm really happy with the blue color choice against Popeye's blue shirt. I think this is coming along really nicely, man. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I have another wall I'm going to add to the right side of this that's going to be brick, stucco, and metal. It's going to be really cool. So stay tuned for that video. And we're going to be finishing up with this build here shortly and be moving on to the actual shoot with, all my photography gear like you guys are normally used to. But take a look at that. I just think it looks really cool, man. I'm happy with that. I've never used that technique before, and I think it's a great technique. Abandoned Miniatures was where I learned that technique from. Check them out, man. They've got an awesome channel. Super detailed, intricate stuff, man. Stuff that just is mind-blowing. But I love the texture in this floor. Think it did a great job with a stinking broken stick and a piece of pink foam. That's all it took. You guys take care to the next video, and appreciate all the likes and subscribes and all the interactions I'm getting. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm all over the place, folks. Take care.